Hare Rama, Goswami Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Paribrajakacharya, Ashtara Sata Sri Srimad Tirandi Goswami Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar Shivasadi, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Gop Gopinath Shyam Kund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Shri Dwaraka Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Samavet Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Attachment with God's feet, perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my bhakti fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him success eternal emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercies, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of all those. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the universe. Take shelter in our speech. Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to Shishi Guru and Shivu Ranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
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 Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
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 Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
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 Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
We're reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 24, which is called the explanation of the Atmarama verse. Hare Krishna. So, we're reading from verse 84 on. Raga Bhakti, Vidhi Bhakti, Hai, Dui Rupa, Bhagavate, Prakashadvirupa, Raga Bhakti, Vidhi Bhakti, Haya, Dui Rupa, Swayam Bhagavate, Prakashadvirupa, Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hai Dui Rup, Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirup, Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hai Dui Rup, Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirup,
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Haya Dui Rupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hai Dui Rupa,
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa.
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Haya Dui Rupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hai Dui Rupa,
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa.
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Haya Dui Rupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hai Dui Rupa,
Swayam Bhagavati Prakashadvirupa.
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Haya Dui Rupa.
Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hai Dui Rupa,
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa.
Swayam Bhagavate Prakashadvirupa. Raga Bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. Vidhi Bhakti, regulative devotional service. Haya, R, Dui Rupa, the two kinds of devotional service. Swayam Bhagavate, Swayam Bhagavate, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavate, and in his personal expansion. Prakasha Virupa, the two kinds of the two kinds of manifestation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. There are two kinds of devotional activity: spontaneous and regulative. By spontaneous devotional service, one attains the original personality of Godhead, Krishna. And by the regulative process, one attains the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 85. Raga Bhakti Vraja Swayam Bhagavan Ipaya. By executing spontaneous devotional service in Vrindavan, one attains the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 86. Nayat Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatha Bhakti Matam Iha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penance, or those who consider the body the same as the self. Purport. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 9th chapter, verse 21, is spoken by Srila Shukadeva Goswami. It concerns the statement about Krishna's being subjugated by the gopis and thus glorifying them. I think it's good to read the verse from the 10th canto. Do you have the 10th canto? Otherwise I have it on my mobile. No problem.
9th chapter.
Yeah, 10th chapter, 10th canto, 9th chapter, and verse 21. Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. So the verse 21. Again, Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopikasutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatha Bhakti Mata Iha. Translation again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penance, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. Purport. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda, is very easily available to devotees, but not to tapasvis, yogis, jnanis, and others who have a bodily concept of life. Although they may sometimes be called Shanta Bhaktas, real bhakti begins with Dasya Ras. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 11th verse, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham mama vatmanu vatpante manushya partha sarvashaha. As living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Everyone is seeking Krishna, for he is the super soul of all individual souls. Everyone loves his body, and wants to protect it because he is within the body as the soul. And everyone loves the soul because the soul is part and parcel of the super soul. Therefore, everyone is actually seeking to achieve happiness by reviving his relationship with the super soul. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15th verse, Vedaischa sarvai aham eva vedyaha. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. Therefore, the karmis, jnanis, and yogis, and saintly persons are all seeking Krishna. But by following in the footsteps of devotees who are in the direct relationship with Krishna, especially the inhabitants of Vrindavan, one can reach the supreme position of associating with Krishna. As it is said, Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam nagacchati. Krishna does not leave Vrindavan even for a moment. The Vrindavan Vasis, Mother Yashoda, Krishna's friends, and Krishna's conjugal lovers, the younger gopis with whom he dances, have very intimate relationship with Krishna. And if one follows in the footsteps of these devotees, Krishna is available. Although the Nitya Siddha expansions of Krishna always remain with Krishna, if those engaged in sadhan bhakti follow in the footsteps of Krishna's Nitya Siddha associates, such sadhan siddhas also can easily attain Krishna without difficulty. But there are those who are attached to bodily concepts of life. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, for example, have very prestigious positions, and thus they have the sense of being very exalted Ishvaras. In other words, because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are guna avatars and have exalted positions, they have some small sense of being like Krishna. But the pure devotees who inhabit Vrindavan do not possess any bodily conception. They are fully dedicated to the service of the Lord in sublime affection, prema. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore recommended prema pum artho mahan. The highest perfection of life is prema, pure love in relationship with Krishna. And Mother Yashoda appears to be the topmost of devotees who have attained this perfection. I will read the last two verses from this chapter, which is called Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. Krishnastu griha krityeshu vyagrayam bhatari prabhu adrakshit adjuna purvam guhyakau dhanadaatmajau. While Mother Yashoda was very busy with household affairs, the Supreme Lord Krishna observed twin trees known as Yamala Arjuna, which in a former millennium had been the demigod sons of Kuvera. And verse 23, Pura narada shapena dikshatam prapitau madat nalakuvara manigriva iti kyatau shyanvitau. In their former birth, those two sons, known as Nalakuvara and Manigriva, were extremely opulent and fortunate. But because of pride and false prestige, they did not care about anyone, and thus Narad Muni cursed them to become trees. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. So verse 87 from Madhya Lila, chapter 24, explanation of the Atmarama verse. Vidhi bhakti parshada dehe vaikunte teyai. By executing regular devotional service, one becomes an associate of Narayan and attains the Vaikuntha Lokas, the spiritual planets in the spiritual sky. Verse 88. Yaschabrajanti animisham rishabhanuvritya dure yama hiyopari nasprani yashila bhartur mitha shuyashaha katanuraga vaiklavya bashpa kalaya pula krikam. Those who discuss the activities of Lord Krishna are on the highest platform of devotional life. and they evince the symptoms of tears in the eyes and bodily tribulation. Such persons discharge devotional service to Krishna without practicing the rules and regulations of the mystic yoga system. They possess all spiritual qualities, and they are elevated to the Vaikuntha planet which exists above us. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, sloka 25. In this verse, Lord Brahma is speaking to all the demigods who feared the two asuras of in Diti's womb. Lord Brahma described the Kumara's visit to Vaikuntha, and this was again explained by Maitreya, the friend of Vyasadeva, when he gave instructions to Vidura. Verse 89. Sei upasa kahaya trividha prakar akama moksha kama sarva kama ar. The devotees are divided into three categories: akama, desireless; moksha kama, desiring liberation; and sarva kama, desiring material perfections. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogina yatita purusham param. One who is actually intelligent, although he may be a devotee free from material desires, a karmi desiring all kinds of material facilities, or a jnani desiring liberation, should seriously engage in bhakti yoga for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, verse 10. And sloka 91. Buddhiman arthe yadi vichara hai nija kama lagiha tabe Krishna rabajai. The meaning of the word udharadi is buddhiman, intelligent or considerate. Because of this, even for one's own sense gratification, one engages in the devotional service of Lord Krishna. Verse 92. Bhakti vinukona sadhana ditenare pal sabapale deya bhakti svatantra praval. The other processes cannot yield results unless they are associated with devotional service. Devotional service, however, is so strong and independent that it can give one all desired results. Sloka 93. Ajagalastananaya anya sadhan otoeva hari bhaje buddhiman jana. With the exception of devotional service, all the methods of self-realizations are like nipples on the neck of a goat. An intelligent person adopts only devotional service, giving up all other processes of self-realization. Purport. Without devotional service, other methods for self-realization and spiritual life are useless. Other methods cannot produce good results at any time, and therefore they are compared to the nipples on the neck of a goat. These cannot produce milk, although it may appear that they can. An unintelligent person cannot understand that only devotional service can elevate one to the transcendental position. And there's the famous verse from Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritvinujana arto jigyasur artharti jnana cha bharatarshava. O best among Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirous of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Purport. This is a quotation from Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, verse 16. The word Sukritina is very important in this verse. Su means auspicious, and Kriti means meritorious or regulated. Unless one follows the regulative principles of religious life, human life is no different from animal life. Religious life means following the principles of Varna and Ashrama. In the Vishnu Purana it is stated, Varna Ashrama Charavata Purushena Parahuman Vishnu Aradyate Panta Nanyat Tattosha Karanam. According to religious life, society is divided into 4 social divisions: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and 4 spiritual divisions: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. One needs to be trained to become a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, just as one is trained to become an engineer, doctor or lawyer. Those who are properly trained can be considered human beings. If one is not trained socially and spiritually, that is, if one is uneducated and unregulated, his life is on the animal platform. Among animals, there is no question of spiritual advancement. Spiritual life can be attained by proper training, either by following the principles of Varna and Ashrama, or by being directly trained in the Bhakti school by the methods of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Without being trained, one cannot be Sukriti, auspicious. In this verse, Krishna says that the people approach him when in distress, in need of money, or when actually inquisitive to understand the Supreme Being, or the original source of everything. Some people approach him in the pursuit of knowledge of the Absolute Truth, and others approach him when they are distressed, like the devotees, like the devotee Gajendra. Others are inquisitive, like the great sages headed by Sanaka, and others need money, like Dhruva Maharaj. Shukadev Goswami approached the Lord when he pursued knowledge. All these great personalities thus took to the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshushu Militam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So, this chapter 24 from Madhya Lila is an account of the instructions given to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami and Lord Chaitanya, they met in Varanasi. As we know also previously to this encounter between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatana Goswami, and in those days still Abir Khas, there was an encounter or a meeting between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, and that was in Prayag. These two great Vaishnavas, Rupa and Sanatan, they are our most important instructing gurus. They have given us so much literature. Actually, when Lord Chaitanya met Rupa Goswami in Prayag, he instructed him directly that first of all, he should go to Vrindavan and excavate the transcendental places where Lord Krishna had his pastimes. And then he instructed him on how to describe and elaborate on the principles of devotional service. Therefore we pray, Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yenam Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. We pray to Sri Rupa Goswami to get his the shelter of his lotus feet. Because he has described all this science of devotional service, specifically in the book that we read every morning after the Mangalarti, Nectar of Devotion, as Srila Prabhupada described it in his words, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We have also another book from Rupa Goswami, extremely important, that Prabhupada translated, very short book, Upadeshamrita. So these two books, Nectar of Devotion and Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instructions, you have this in Russian also?
Of course, yeah.
Almost all Prabhupada books. Yes. So these are essential books, and these are not books which Srila Rupa Goswami, in this connection, has written out of his own inspiration, but on the inspiration of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna himself appearing in this age of Kali Yuga in order to spread the Sankirtan movement. Right? So subsequently to this meeting between Rupa Goswami and Lord Chaitanya in Prayag, in Allahabad, Lord Chaitanya met Sanatana Goswami. As we know, the story is that Sanatana Goswami wanted to retire. First, Rupa Goswami retired, and he went towards Vrindavan. And on the way, actually, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming back from Vrindavan. So it was arranged by the Lord's specific mercy that they would meet at Prayag. Rupa was going to Vrindavan, and Lord Chaitanya was coming back from Vrindavan. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going on and on and on to Varanasi, following the Ganges. And then he arrived in Varanasi. And there he met with Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami's journey was much more adventurous than that of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami, he retired with a great amount of money, and he gave 50% to the Vaishnavas, 25% for personal emergencies, and I think 25% he kept for himself. Isn't it? Yes. So anyhow, the money that he kept this for a personal emergency, he gave it to a person in where they used to live in Calcutta today, where Nawab Hussain Shah had his palace, and his brother Sanatana Goswami, he wanted to retire also, but this time Nawab Hussain Shah, he said, no, your brother already retired, now you will retire, and you are the most important minister. It doesn't come into question. Actually, it happened so that Sanatana Goswami, he didn't retire in a way which was very standard. He simply didn't, as we do it also in work, he just didn't appear at work. He should be a minister, he has his ministerial post. He should be at the palace at 8 o'clock in the morning and working with all his clerks, the financial means, because he was the Minister of Finances. He wasn't anything, Can you imagine the Minister of Finance of Russia? Now, he was the Minister of Finance of Nawab Hussain Shah. Very important persons. Rupa and Sanatana, they weren't any hippies, They were actually extremely elevated people. I cannot imagine that now that we would get one of the ministers of Switzerland becoming a devotee. It would be really, maybe it will happen one day, I don't know. But in those days, it was also amazing that such elevated people became followers of Lord Chaitanya. Anyhow, these two brothers, they already met Lord Chaitanya previously, but they went back to work. At a certain point, they decided we won't work for the Shah anymore, we will just become sincere followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were so attracted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, 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 very attractive, even by the physical point of view. So anyhow, when Sanatana didn't come to work, he explained that he is sick. He doesn't feel well. So Nawab Hussain Shah, he was quite, I would say, saying, what is this nonsense, he's not coming today, he's not coming tomorrow, what's the problem, So personally, Nawab Hussain Shah, he went to the house of Sanatana Goswami, and there he saw that Sanatana Goswami was surrounded by Brahmins, and they were reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So he got very angry with Sanatana Goswami. He chastised him. And he said, if you don't work properly, then my whole kingdom will be destroyed. You cannot do this. So anyhow, he put him in custody, right? And Sanatana was put into custody, and he couldn't go out, and he was punished like this. Actually, which is also very nice, is that Sanatana wasn't angry at Nawab. He could have said, what are you nonsense? I'm a bhakta. No, he said, okay, so you're the king. You do whatever you want. So he was confined, and at a certain point, he wanted to go and meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is all described in the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So then he bribed the custodian in the prison. He gave him some money. So everything is very nicely described. It's a big adventure. Then he said, you take this money and you tell the Nawab that I went to the Ganges and I drowned. And then he went through the forest, and we know that he had a servant with him, and he also came to some kind of so in the middle of the jungle. He didn't go through the main road so that the Nawab couldn't catch him, So he went through the forest, and he came to some place where he asked for shelter for the night, and the man who owned the so-called, the hostel or hotel, he had an astrologer, and the astrologer told Sanatan, told this keeper of the hotel that Sanatan has some gold money with him. So this man decided that he will kill Sanatan and take his money. But Sanatan was very transcendentally inspired, so he asked his servant, "Do you have some money?" And he said, "Yes." So he said, "You're crazy or something? If they will kill us." So they gave the money to the hotel keeper, and he was very surprised, and he showed them then the way how to go all the way to Varanasi. And he gave him also a quilt, a nice, beautiful cover. So as we know, the story is described in detail. He arrived in Varanasi, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sarup Damodara, his servant, he said, "Someone's outside, there's a great Vaishnava there. And go and see." So he went out and he just saw some bearded man with a quilt. He didn't look like a Vaishnava. So he went back and he told, "There's no Vaishnava, there's just some man with a beard outside and with a quilt." So Lord Chaitanya went out and he embraced Sanatan, and tears came from his eyes. Both of them were in total and transcendental ecstasy. So the story goes on, of course, how Sanatan afterwards shaved up, and he gave up his luxurious cover and exchanged it for a simple quilt. Yeah? And then there's this transcendental exchange between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatan, where Lord Chaitanya instructs systematically Sanatan Goswami. So Sanatan Goswami, upon these instructions, he also was instructed to go to Vrindavan and start to renovate or restore the place of pastime of Lord Krishna, and also to write books. And one of the most important books that Sanatan Goswami wrote was Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas, we have it here, I think, in the library. It's a very voluminous and detailed system of how to practice not only devotional service, but how to install deities, how to accept a disciple, how to be a guru, all these detailed informations are there. So it is a science. Krishna consciousness is not a sentimental thing. It is not a religion in the sense of some sentiment. Rather, Krishna consciousness is a science. It is a science. And Bhakti Yoga is described by these great Vaishnava Acharyas, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, or the six Goswami. We sing also in the morning the prayer to the six Goswamis, Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago, Shri Jiva Gopala Go. Because these six Goswamis, Nana Shastra, they studied all different kinds of Shastras to establish Sadharmas, which means eternal activities or eternal duty, Sadharma. So this is a scientific movement, yes? And the highest result of this science is spontaneous love for Krishna. This is the essence. So there sometimes have been, recently, in the last years, there have been some spiritual masters who have been claiming that in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that we don't teach spontaneous loving service to Krishna. And that there are some spiritual masters who are capable of teaching this spontaneous loving service to Krishna. And there are founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, he hasn't taught spontaneous loving service to Krishna. So some of our devotees, they went and left our association, thinking that we were not offering the supreme stuff, that we're not offering the spontaneous loving service. And that there were some spiritual masters in Vrindavan specifically who are offering this spontaneous loving service. So that is a very unfortunate situation, because these devotees don't understand that this spontaneous loving service cannot be attained simply by one's own desire. It is bestowed upon one when one is ready by the spiritual master. One has to be very faithful to one's spiritual master. One cannot leave his spiritual master whimsically, saying, "Oh, my spiritual master, he didn't give me," just like Prabhupada. Once there was one, when he was still with us, Prabhupada, there was one devotee who approached Srila Prabhupada. And he said, "Srila Prabhupada, I'm leaving. Please give me your blessings so that I can find another spiritual master." Yeah. He asked like this. And Prabhupada was very unhappy. He was thinking, why is he asking such a thing? This was the prerogative of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, that he was completely and totally faithful to his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Once Srila Prabhupada was very ill in 1967 in San Francisco, and some of the devotees, they were thinking he will leave. He was planning to go to Vrindavan and recuperate from his health, but the devotees had the feeling that maybe he will leave the body in Vrindavan, and so they approached Srila Prabhupada and they asked him, "Srila Prabhupada, if you leave and you don't come back, can you maybe tell us who will be the replacement for you? Will you send somebody to replace you?" And Srila Prabhupada was very silent, and he didn't understand how can they ask such a question, And he started crying because he found the question itself absurd. So he only said, "My spiritual master saved me." He said like that. So this faithfulness is absolutely necessary in the spiritual path. One may not jump to another spiritual master because one thinks that this spiritual master didn't give me everything, He didn't give me spontaneous love. So that is not good. So anyhow, this spontaneous love, as was described by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, is a very, very elevated situation. As we have read, this is the verse about Yashoda and all the gopis in Vrindavan. They have spontaneous attraction to Krishna. They're on the Raga Nuga Bhakti. There's the Sadhana Bhakti. That was the verse that we were reading today, verse number 84. I will read it again. Yes. Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hoi Dui Rupa Shayam Bhagavate Prakasha Virupa. There are two kinds of devotional service: spontaneous, that's called Raga Bhakti, and regulative. By spontaneous devotional service, one attains the original personality of Godhead Krishna, and by the regulative process, one attains the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the verse that we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Raga Bhakti Brajisvayam Bhagavan Ipaya. By executing spontaneous devotional service in Vrindavan, one attains the original Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. So these are verses which are extremely important for us, and we can see that we are, just by reading these verses, we are already understanding what is the spontaneous loving for Krishna. But we cannot jump to this Raga Bhakti before being mature in sadhana bhakti or Vaidhi bhakti. Yeah? So the Nectar of Devotion from Rupa Goswami, we read in this Nectar of Devotion the Vaidhi bhakti principles. For example, when we come to the Krishna consciousness movement, yeah, we have sadhana bhakti. We are practicing sadhana, Vaidhi bhakti. And we are not very much enthusiastic in the morning to get up at 4 or 3:30, you know. But we think, oh, my spiritual master or the temple president, he told me that we should go to Mangalarti. So at the start we don't feel very much like enthusiastic to do such a thing, right? And that's sadhana bhakti. But because the spiritual master and the temple authorities, they say so, I will do it. That's called Vaidhi bhakti, sadhana bhakti. I've seen here in the temple, they wrote the regulations of people living in the temple. I like that. And they wrote, in German, it's a very nice statement, that Anwesenheit bei Mangalartis ist eine Ehrensache. It's a very nice statement. You know? It's a question of honor. If you're honorable, you will come to Mangalarti. If you're not an honorable person, if you don't respect the rules of this place, of this temple, then you won't come. It's all right. We won't chastise you, we won't beat you, or throw you out of the temple. No. It's another question. But you will show your faithfulness and your straightforwardness. That's the word. By coming to Mangalarti. So we get up, we take shower, and then we stand in front of it. This is Vaidhi bhakti. So if we continue nicely following these regulative principles as stated here, sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti, then slowly but surely we will gain taste, and we will find it extremely enthusiastically to get up. Wow, there will be Mangalarti. I have to go. You know, this is already Udhay. Udhay means that these things become evident. There's this very famous verse, Nitta Siddha Krishna Bhakti Shaddha Kabumai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Koroye Udhay. Udhay means rising. That's we have in Mayapur, we have the Chandrodaya Udhay Mandir. Now it's called the Vedic Temple of Planetarium, whatever. But initially, Mayapur was called where Lord Chaitanya's movement rose, Udhay. That's the word, means that like the sun is rising. Yeah? When the sun rises, that's Udhay. There's a song also by Bhaktivinoda Thakur with this same word, Udhay. Udila Aduna. Yeah? That when Udila means to rise. When the sun rose, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his associates, they got up and they went in the towns and villages with their mridangas and chanted Hare Krishna. So anyhow, Krishna Bhakti, Nitta Siddha Krishna Bhakti, the Krishna Bhakti, spontaneous. Love is dormant within the heart of each and every living entity. It's there. It's not Prabhupada has said, it's not an artificial imposition. It is there. I very much like the purport in this verse which we read from the Bhagavatam, that we love our body because we are in the body. Right? And who are we? We are the soul. And what is the soul? It is a parts and parcel. It's a parts and parcel of Krishna. So ultimately, everybody loves Krishna. That is the first thing I've learned from my Bhartana Padarshika Guru, Jayanta. He told me this. Everybody loves Krishna. I said, what? Yes, everybody loves Krishna. But they don't know how to love Krishna. That's the whole thing. They don't know how. So they're trying to love themselves, the body, or they love their children, or their family, or their wife, or their lover, right? They're trying to express love is so much important. That's why John Lennon sang, all you need is love. Yeah? It's the highest principle, love. Love, love, love. Yeah? It's so important. Without love, people are so frustrated. So finally they get a dog, a small dog or a kitten. Yeah? And they love their kitten. You know, you've seen a little kitten out there. They're so sweet, you know. And people love, they have to give their love to somebody. Otherwise they're so totally unhappy. So this love originally is for Krishna. So Krishna Bhakti Shaddha, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta. By hearing Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta. Shuddha means cleaning, and Chitta means consciousness. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Koro Udo, it rises. Yeah? And it rises to the point of spontaneous love. And which is very important, and I will end here. The method is that we should follow and serve a person who already attained this spontaneous level. Right? So for us it's absurd to leave Srila Prabhupada and go to another guru who sort of will give us spontaneous love. It's absurd, because the method is, we're just following a wrong method. The real method is that we worship and we serve a person who already attained this spontaneous loving service, and that is Srila Prabhupada. Or those who are servants of Srila Prabhupada are also doing the right thing. They're leading us on to this liberated state, to this state of spontaneous love for Krishna. So it is a fact that we are looking to attain Raga Bhakti, but we cannot jump the etaps, the stages. There are different stages. We should follow from the very simple sadhana bhakti, vaidhi bhakti, and then elevate ourselves to Raga Bhakti. So this is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining in these verses of this Madhya Lila to Sanatana Goswami. And of course, this 24th chapter is very voluminous. This 24th chapter has, I will tell you immediately how many verses. It's one of the longest chapters in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It has, I'm not sure at the end, it has exactly 355 verses, this 24th chapter. So he spent some time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with Sanatana Goswami, and he explained all the details and all the intricacies of devotional service. This is the chapter, this is the verse 84 we read today, and a few other verses consequently. But there are 350 verses in this chapter. So Lord Chaitanya gave so much information to Sanatana Goswami, and he gave previously also so much information to Rupa Goswami, and all this information was transmitted faithfully by Srila Prabhupada to us. And by the hard work of your Russian translators and of our German translators, we can read it also in our own language. So it's such a nice scientific process. So we should be very careful to follow this scientific process, not deviating from the scientific process, not being, I would say, impatient. Oh, where is the raga? Why don't tears come from my eyes? Why don't I shiver when I chant the holy names? What is this? It doesn't work. We shouldn't be impatient. We should be very patient, following the scientific method. And if we are patient and faithful, then at a certain point, koroye udhoy, this love for Krishna will manifest in us spontaneously. So I'm very glad that Krishna has arranged that I was invited here to this temple. And when I see these beautiful decorations, these flower decorations, and the beautiful outfits, with so much loving devotion made by all these Prabhus and Matajis here in the temple, I am very honored. And this is spontaneous love. You can see it here. In situ. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments? Yes?
May I ask you to share something that inspires you to go on still, and maybe it was from the beginning of your Krishna consciousness and still inspires you to continue?
Well, I must say that what inspires me is the association of devotees. When I was not in the association of devotees, I was suffering. I was working for many, many years at the university and also at schools. I was a teacher, and I was suffering. I wasn't happy, I was always hoping to again have the association of devotees. And by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, after I retired, I again got the association of devotees, and I'm so happy, that I don't have the association of karmis. Because that's really the worst thing you can, association of materialistic people or sinful, and it's not nice. So at the very start, when I told Mataji, when I came to the first association of devotees, and I had prasadam, that inspires me also, by the way. And I was in their association of the devotees, Sangha, and chanting Mahamantra in the association of devotees, and accepting and giving prasadam in the association of devotees. These are things which inspired me and are still inspiring me very much. And I remember when I first had the association of devotees at the temple, when I left the temple, I wasn't walking, I was levitating. I was just about 10 centimeters above the ground. It was such a elated feeling, a feeling of real happiness, So that was inspiring me, that still inspires me. Yeah. But I'm still a neophyte, practicing Vaidhi to my best capacity, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And I'm patient, waiting that one day, maybe in this life, maybe in the next life, I will come to the level of Raga Bhakti and spontaneously go to Mangal Arati, and not just because an Ehrensache. Is it okay? Prasadam is the main thing. I'm sorry. Yes.
I wanted to ask something, because you were talking about being faithful to a guru, and so this is like my question to you. But sometimes there are situations in which maybe it's not possible because something happened, like for example, a guru fell down, or some situations that are. So how can a person who is practicing Krishna consciousness still, continue with full faith, even though sometimes these things happen? And we do have Srila Prabhupada as the perfect example, but sometimes it's sometimes when you see certain things that happen, then it's wow, how is it possible? And then your faith shakens because you are not certain whether this is the process to follow or not the process to follow, because sometimes this senior devotees, they don't show a good example, and sometimes I'm not blaming them or anything, I'm just talking about when you see all these things and it shakes you in that sense, so how to still have enthusiasm and faith and things like that in our institution.
Yes, this is a very important question, and it could be treated for many hours. Discussed. It's not an easy question, but on the other hand, I think that we should understand that Srila Prabhupada is the one who planted the seed of devotion in our hearts. We all of us, if we are disciples of Srila Prabhupada or disciples of a spiritual master who's still practicing, or a disciple of a spiritual master who, by unfortunate circumstances, has left the practicing of Bhakti Yoga and left even the ISKCON movement, still the seed of everything which we got is Prabhupada's books. It's Prabhupada's books. And if we keep faithful to Prabhupada's books and to the method that is described in Prabhupada's books, and we pray for the well-being and the recuperation of our spiritual master, who somehow or other became bewildered by the external energy, which happens, then we can continue. I have this situation with my own wife. She was initiated by a spiritual master who unfortunately doesn't want to stay in our movement anymore. He didn't become a demon, It's not that he started drinking but he just kind of like wasn't determined enough, one would say, or patient enough. I think patience maybe is important, to continue the process. And maybe he made some, I would say, offenses. Yeah, this is also a problem, that we have to be very careful not to make offenses. So anyhow, he decided to leave the movement and lives his own life, right? So my wife she was shocked. My wife is from Serbia, and they are very the heart, I think in Russia you have the same thing. So
From Croatia.
Oh, from Croatia. And she told me, I was shocked when she told me, because I'm not so hard, She told me, I would have preferred that he dies than he leaves. She said like that, Wow, powerful stuff, So, but she's still following. Every morning she chants her rounds, and she loves the deities, and she goes to the temple and has association. She keeps her sadhana going, with a little bit of a broken heart, of course, because when you worship your Guru Maharaj as Sakshat Hari, representative of God, and suddenly he tells you, well, anyhow, I'm not anymore the representative of God. I decided to have my own life. I don't want to be the representative of God for you, at least, anymore. It's one breaks, the heart is broken, It's a terrible shock. But still, as I said, the seed was planted there. It's there, still there. Sometimes the seed may become covered and doesn't sprout for some time. But if we are patient and water the seed with chanting, right, and with reading and associating, as I said before, then the seed will grow again. Yeah, we shouldn't leave. What is it called? We shouldn't lose faith. That's very important in the process. We shouldn't lose faith in the process. And plus that, as I said, Maya is extremely strong, very powerful Maya. She can cut down anyone, even if he's very advanced. Once Srila Prabhupada was standing in front of the deities, and of course that was a lila, that wasn't real, and he was praying with his hands like this, and a devotee came to him and said, inquired afterwards, Prabhupada, what were you praying for? And Prabhupada said, I was praying that Maya won't touch me, that I won't fall down. But it was an example, of course. Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha. Whereas many of our Guru Maharajas, they're sadhana siddhas. They were sadhana siddhas. If they remain faithful, they were sadhana siddhas. And if they don't remain faithful, then they may fall down, right? That's the nature of a sadhana siddha, that if he decides not to be a sadhana, then he can be again a conditioned soul. But a Nitya Siddha, he never falls down. So we are fortunate that we have a founder of this movement is a Nitya Siddha. That's very important. And if we just follow the Nityasiddha Acharya, then we are on the good path. And if we need a new spiritual master, there is a provision in our movement that you can be reinitiated, right? It's a possibility that you can go on following the process and have a spiritual master who is faithful maybe more than the one who previously had. But this is the, I would say, the nature of the material world. And mainly, as I said before, it's the difference here is stated between the sadhana siddha and the nitya siddha. Very important. So we are fortunate that the founder acharya of our movement is a nitya siddha. We have many gurus who are sadhana siddhas, very elevated, pure devotees. But they may, by chance or by negligence or by offenses, they may become victimized by the external energy. But we should forgive them. Not like my wife, who said, I would prefer that he dies. Oh, it's so heavy, you know. So is that all right? I'm sorry. It's a very touchy and a very sensitive theme, but I think that we deal with that sometimes and better to talk. Okay? One more last question. I don't want to, because everybody is eager to get prasadam, you know. Yes?
During this sadhana bhakti every day, all these actions for me can become ritualistic. Even japa.
What is that?
Ritualistic.
Ritualistic.
Yes. Even japa, I feel
Ritualistic.
can,
Yes.
can become ritualistic. So how to feel this connection during the sadhana bhakti? How to feel connection with the main goal? How to feel inspired?
I understand. So when one becomes negligent of hearing, this is the usual problem, that we do not hear. Or we make offenses. That's another problem. And then we start losing the taste. And it becomes mechanical, right? And this is not only our problems in the Hare Krishna movement. That's the problem of all practitioners of spiritual life. You know, in the Catholic Church, for example, there are so many problems with this. The priests, they do all this ritualistic thing, or in the Orthodox Church, or in the Jewish tradition, or the Islamic tradition, when people are negligent of to hear and be humble also, and not to make offenses, right? Then it can happen that one simply then becomes, you know, Prabhupada called it churchianity. Yeah, just empty rituals. You know, this is empty rituals. Sometimes it can happen to us also. If we think that this Krishna consciousness is just another religion, like all the other religions, then we start considering the devotional activities which we are scientifically practicing as mere rituals, you know, and then we kind of like, you know, slowly but surely lose taste. And another problem, and that's a very important problem, is offensive mentality. You know, we call each other Prabhus, but do we really think that we are Prabhu? You know? Prabhu, you are a rascal. In the mind you think like this. I'm not saying that you will say it. Right? This Prabhu is an idiot. You know, if we start thinking like this, or criticizing in our mind, or even openly, devotees, is very difficult, very dangerous, extremely dangerous. Because no one who comes to the temple and offers obeisances to Krishna is an ordinary person. Even if he's, you know, still has some defects, you know. It's stated in the Shastras that even if a devotee has some defects, he's still a very special personality. I mean, who could come here and offer his obeisances here? I mean, put the head to the ground. I mean, just to put the head to the ground is, whew. Who is capable here in Bergstrasse to come here to the temple and put his head to the ground? Nobody. But only those who will come here and actually put their head to the ground. So that's very, just the fact, the bare fact of doing this, bowing down to the spiritual master, to the murtis, is a very special act of a person who is very special, you know. So we should not make offenses towards devotees. We should be attentive to hearing, and then these things won't not become stale, you know, like, you know, losing the taste. But it happens. We are conditioned souls. As long as we're conditioned souls, these things can happen. You understand? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Jai.